Welcome back to the IdahoSports.com State Tournament Preview Special, Girls Edition here on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and Instagram account. It is time for our final classification, the 1A State Girls Basketball Tournament. Let's bring on the play-by-play voice for the 1A tournament on IdahoSports.com, Gary Jones. Gary, what's up?
Not much. Looking forward to this tournament. Favorite time of the year.
No doubt. You are going to be broadcasting this tournament with Jesse Richens. Jesse could not make it tonight. He said something about he wanted to spend just the least amount of time as possible with you, Gary. So the preview show was a no-go.
That's a very common feeling around Idaho sports, I think.
I'm just kidding. Jesse had a work day he couldn't get out of. So I'm looking forward to you and Jesse on the call for the 1A tournament this weekend. Gary, let's take, and we're the closing shift, so we can spend as much time on this bracket as we want to. Nobody waiting in the queue to talk after us. So let's take a look at this 1A bracket. The 3 and 6, Rockland and Chalice, their conference rivals. The 2 and 7, Cary and Mackey. Number 1 and number 8, Genesee and Nezperce, their district rivals. And then Dietrich and Salmon River in the 4 versus 5. What jumps out to you when you look at this bracket first blush, Gary?
Well, I always look at who's returning to state that played the year before because they have a lot of experience with their underclassmen. Dietrich was there. They came in second. Mackey was there, and so was Sam River. They were 0-2 and done. And then Rockland were consolation champions. So that's the first thing that stuck out to me. Those 4 teams have a little bit of an advantage. They've been there before. But then when you look at the win-loss records, I'll be honest, I haven't seen any of these teams play. So when you look at the win-loss record, I mean, it totally stands out. Genesee is 20-1. Their only loss is to Lapway, which is a division above them. I mean, we all know how good Lapway is. The rest of them have 5, 6, 7 losses. Rockland's 18-5, Chalice 16-6, Cary 16-7, Mackey 15-9, Nezperce is 11-10, Dietrich 12-7, and Salmon River is 16-6. So they had a lot of double-figure wins, but they had a lot of losses too. So the heavy favorite has to be Genesee.
Okay, we're going to dive into it. A couple of comments here in the chat. Here's Caitlin. I'm excited to see and watch Rockland, Mackey, and Chalice. I believe Caitlin, former volleyball girls basketball standout for Water Springs, which is a conference rival to those 3 teams. So that makes sense. C-Rix in the chat says it's nice to see Chalice back at the state tournament, although it feels really weird to not see Ledort here. Yeah, Gary, Ledort has been kind of a staple at state the last couple of years. That was a really tough conference this year over there in District 5 and 6, the Rocky Mountain Conference. It's this humongous 12-team conference. They got 3 bids to state this year, but what happened was in the regular season, there was a 3-way tie for second place between Chalice, Mackey, and Ledort. Ledort drew the short straw. They had to take the number 4 seed into districts, which meant they had to play Rockland in the semifinals. They lost that game, and then in a stunner, just never could recover. They were upset by Grace Lutheran, the number 7 seed, by 2 points in their loser-out game. So Ledor's not here. Instead, it's Rockland, Chalice, and Mackey. Chalice, a bit of a newcomer, Gary. They are a 2A school, but they petitioned down to the 1A level for competitive reasons this year, and I guess that worked out, right? 16-6 in a spot at state.
Well, you know, the way Idaho does their how do you get into state, the qualifier for state, it's district. And a lot of other states, they just do league. And so another one that bit the bullet was Tri-Valley. They were 10-0 in the long pin. They did not lose a conference game all year. But here's the problem with, I don't particularly care for district. I never have, because I understand why they do it. They make a lot of money and it's exciting. But if Tri-Valley already proved they deserve to be at state. They won every one of their conference games. But then you wipe 3 months off and you go, we have an 8-day tournament, and maybe your star player has the flu or something, or sprains an ankle. My only complaint about district is I think the best team should make state. Now, what's the best indicator of the best teams? A 3-month season where you play everybody twice, or a 1-week season where you don't even play everybody twice? Now, I know I'm in the vast minority in terms of this, but that's my opinion on district, and Ledor bit the bullet too on that. So one thing about district, though, should get you ready for state.
Yeah, I mean, if we went with your system, Gary, Salmon River wouldn't be at state, and yet here are the Savages. Here's Jessica. Let's go Savages. Salmon River is a team that's been to state the past couple of years. They're very, very young team, still a young team, Gary. A lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores. Some of these girls played on varsity as eighth graders. They're a little older now, so they're an intriguing team, certainly. And then we were talking about Caitlin and being from the Rocky Mountain Conference. She now goes to Northwest Nazarene University in Nampa State, just down the street from her. And she says, don't sleep on Rockland this year. Yeah, Rockland's got all these great athletes, the Permans and Boyer. And what do you think about Rockland's potential?
Well, Rockland won a state title just a couple of years ago, 2022, maybe 3 years ago. So if there are any sophomores or freshmen on that team, they're going to play in this one. Rockland, has a good chance. The one I would never count out is Dietrich. Let me give you a stat I looked up from Mike Tatko. He gives us all those stats from all the divisions. They have been to state 23 times. This will be their 24th appearance. They won their first state championship in 99. Then under A.C. Shaw, they won 4 in a row, 2011 through 14. And here's their record in the 23 appearances. They're 51 and 23. So those kids, even if you don't have the experience of Dietrich, you haven't played maybe, you grew up watching all these guys at state. And I never count Dietrich out.
Dietrich did play Rockland very early in the season, like November early. Rockland won by 12, 38-26. But I think Dietrich is peaking at the right time. Obliterated Carey in the district championship game, 42-24. And this is a Dietrich team that's led by 3 outstanding seniors, Paige Van Tassel, Aaliyah Robertson, and Caitlin Wanamaker. Those 3 are kind of the tip of the spear for Dietrich. First-year head coach in Charlie Bingham. She was the assistant coach under former coach Rick Estelle, who passed away last spring, Gary. It's been an emotional season for Dietrich. They're playing for a higher purpose. They're playing for his legacy and in his memory. Team of Destiny, I don't know. They got so close last year, lost to Kendrick in overtime. It just feels like Dietrich, if we were writing the Hollywood script, right? Dietrich would be the team that would win it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who else they're playing for is A.C. Shaw, who, if you know the story of A.C. Shaw, he took a calf into his truck on a real cold day and warmed it up, and he got a virus from that left him not able to walk. He doesn't talk real well. And I talked to his wife. I told her I'm going to shout your husband out because I love A.C. Shaw. He's the one that got the 4 in a row. Paul Kingsbury and I both got a hold of ESPN and said, we have a human interest story for you. And they went ahead and ran. I don't know if some of our audience watched it. You can Google it and see some bits out of it. It's an hour show, but I couldn't find the hour show. I looked it up just the other day. It's called Made in Dietrich, the life of A.C. Shaw. You can watch either an 8 or 16 minute outtake from that hour-long show. Mm-hmm. And so my prayers are with A.C. Shaw and his family, and I always root for that man.
Yeah, and Dietrich is kind of the feel-good story. Carey is lurking. Brandy Harris-Hennifer says, go Carey. Carey's got a sophomore dynamo, Andy Simpson. Oh, boy, a Simpson playing good hoops in Carey. Yeah, I've heard that story before. They've got Hennifer. They've got Paige Black. They've got some good athletes. Carey had to beat Tri-Valley, Gary, in a state play-in game on Saturday in Mountain Home. It came down to the wire. Like, Tri-Valley had, I think it was 3 or 4 attempts at free throws in the final 10 seconds of the game, down by 1, and they couldn't hit any of them. And so Carey kind of survived and held on. But now that the Panthers are here, Gary, they're the number 2 overall seed. They're kind of set up in a good spot. What do you think about Carey?
One thing through the years, I've been working for you guys for a long time, and I even taught and I was interested in basketball before that. Carey goes to state in all the sports all the time. Look up football, how many times they've gone to state, how many times they've gone to state in basketball, girls and boys, in softball. I mean, Carey is just synonymous with state. And so, once again, younger kids in grade school and junior high, they grow up and they watch these state games all the time. And that's what this keeps feeding the program. That's how you build a program. Once you get a program built where they're winning all the time, then the junior high kids and the grade school kids look up to that. If you're a program that's never won before and you're 2-12 every year, they don't, it doesn't feed the younger generation as much. But like I say, Kerry didn't surprise me to see him at state.
Yeah. C-Rick says that Kerry Mackey game is going to be a fascinating game. Yeah. A lot of the athletes that we saw on the volleyball court for Mackey, Seafried and Pearson and some of those athletes are going to be playing for Mackey as well. That's going to be a really fun one. Gary, you mentioned you think Genesee is kind of the overwhelming favorite coming in. They are the number 1 seed. They're 20-1. I'm a little concerned about the strength of schedule. I don't know that they played Lapway and Cami this year, and those are good teams, certainly. But this conference overall, I'm not sure it stacks up with East Idaho or like Dietrich and Carey's league, or even, Tri-Valley and Salmon River really went toe-to-toe in District 3 this year. Talk me off here, the ledge about Genesee up north.
Yeah, I agree with you. But here's what I'm curious about. Does Max Prep have strength of schedule in their formula? And I know you don't know the answer because they won't tell anybody. It seems like sometimes head-to-head. There was another section earlier today you were talking. Somebody beat somebody 3 times and they're seated. The team that lost 3 times is seated above them. You would have to think that strength of schedule is in that formula.
Yes.
And if it is, then maybe Genesee's, maybe they're okay.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Genesee, the first thing you want to do is win. If you keep winning, you're probably going to be near the top, and then you want to play other teams that are going to bankroll a lot of wins. They didn't necessarily do that part of it, but they won enough on their own that they're going to be the number 1 seed. Gary, are you ready for my really crazy, wild prediction for this bracket?
Yes.
I laid this out on the North Idaho Prepcast last week, and I'll lay it out again here. Nezperce is the number 8 seed. They're playing Genesee, the number 1 seed. These teams just played in the district championship game, Gary. Genesee won, but it was only by 6 points, 57-51. Now, they played twice in the regular season. One time Genesee blew them out. The other time Genesee only won by 9. So this is a team, Nezperce, that is close and can compete with Genesee. Well, let's say Salmon River beats Dietrich in the first round and Nezperce finally gets Genesee. Well, now you're looking at Nezperce and Salmon River. They played each other this season, Gary, and split. And both games were close. I think Nezperce, as a number 8 seed, could be in the state championship game. They beat Genesee, they beat Salmon River, and there they are. What do you think about my crazy theory?
Well, that's, if you're a betting man, you're going to win a lot of money on that because the odds are in your favor. You're going to be like 50-1 odds. Who's coming out of the top of the bracket to play him?
Well, that's where I think the run would end for Nezperce. Rockland or Carey, either one would be a tough matchup for Nezperce. But I'm just saying, the way the bracket is set up for Nezperce, a team that they feel pretty confident they can beat in Genesee, a team they've already beaten in Salmon River. I don't know. I'm just saying. Now, I don't know that Salmon River gets past Dietrich necessarily, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised if Nezperce somehow finds themselves, because they are a team that really, it's about tempo. If they can get out and dictate the tempo and turn it into a track meet, they're tough to beat. If you could slow down the game and make Nezperce play in the half court, they become more beatable. And we saw it. In fact, Nezperce just barely got past Highland of Craigmont to get to state. They won that game by like a point. So, I mean, it was close. So that's my crazy conspiracy theory there. We'll see how it shakes out. I don't think it's likely to happen. I'm just saying it could. You're saying that.
Well, you know what? These are young kids that are playing. They're not polished college athletes or pros. And so, the nerves come into it a little bit. So these are young kids. They can come out and play flat. They can come out and play great. When I went to state and as a baseball coach, I always told my kids, I didn't care what the stats said and what the rankings were. If you play the 3 best games of your life at state, it doesn't matter what your record is. You can do a bunch of upsets. You can just keep flowing. So if they can play 3 good games, any one of these 8 teams can win. But I would have to notice a couple teams are looking for their first, or 3 of them, for their first title ever. Chalice has not won before. Mackey has not won before, and neither has Nezperce. So part of me, we're in America where we love upsets. You know, the underdog. If you don't care about a team, you always root for the underdog. So part of me roots for one of those three teams because I know how special the state championship was that I won, and for the town and everything and the kids. We were just jacked. I know that feeling, and it's an awesome feeling. So a lot of these schools like Dietrich has felt it. All the rest of them have felt it a few times, not those three.
Yeah. Gary, I'm getting a lot of backup on Instagram from Nezperce Nation. Here's Cordy Romero, go Nighthawks. Yes. And here's Cal Zen, don't count the Nighthawks out. Gary, I've started a movement. That's all I'm saying.
This is Nezperce's 11th appearance at state. The last time they were there was 2019, and their overall record in 10 appearances is 13-16. That's just the history of Nezperce.
Hey, no better time to change the history than this year. Let's take a look at our 1A players to watch here, Gary. We picked one from each school, just kind of a starting off point with the discussion here. Andy Simpson from Cary, Jaylee Orkey from Chalice, Aaliyah Robertson from Dietrich, Monica Seibert from Genesee, Miley Drussel from Mackey, Helen Wilcox from Nezperce. She had 13 points, 7 steals in Nezperce's play-in game victory over Kootenai. 7 steals. That's pretty good. Callan Perman from Rockland, Riley Walters from Salmon River. Give me one player you are excited to watch this weekend.
Okay, I'm going to go with Monica. I got pronunciation wrong. I think that her name is Subert.
Okay, I'm gonna defer to you, Monica Subert from Genesee.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I call. The nice thing about the 1A is I can call the secretaries and I don't have to bother the whole school. They know all the names of their kids. Okay, the reason I'm looking forward to her, she's the number 1 player off the number 1 team. So if you were like giving scholarships out, or you're scouting, your college guy scouting, you're going to go to one of the best teams and hey, who's your best player? So I'm always interested in number 1 seed's best player, and I'm assuming she's your best player because you picked her. But she's not there; she's in the conversation.
Yeah, the conversation. Yes, I mean Genesee's got 3 or 4 girls that can lead them in scoring on any given night. That's probably why they're such a tough team. I mean, they're the number 1 seed there. So, like we said, we could have gone 4 or 5 deep with all of these teams. This is just kind of a jumping off point. Here's Caitlin showing some love for her fellow Rocky Mountain Conference competitors, Jaylee, Miley, and Callan from Chalice, Mackey, and Rockland, respectively. I believe Jaylee Orkey is the daughter of head coach Jordan Orkey. I'm not 100% clear on that, but the same last name, small town. I'm making an assumption there. And Miley Drussel from Mackey also is a really good athlete. And of course, Permanent Rock. Permanent, some of these names we just are used to. Permans from Rockland, Simpsons from Cary, just that familiarity with our small schools. So those are just some of the players to watch at the 1A tournament this weekend. And Gary, I know you hate doing this. I'm gonna make you make a prediction here. Championship matchup, championship winner.
Yeah, I don't. It's okay. I don't particularly care for this, but if I pick wrong, the fans come up and boo me. That's fine. I can live with it. But here's my prediction based on, since I haven't seen these guys, I'm basing it on the coaches poll, the media poll, and the power rankings from IdahoSports.com. Coaches poll, Genesee's 1, Rockland's 2. Media poll, Genesee's 1, Rockland's 2. The power rankings, the algorithm that Dustin Wixom got it figured out. Genesee's 1, Rockland's 2. So there's a pure sweep across the board. And so I'm picking a bulldog against a bulldog. What I do a lot of times, if you ever listen to me, I always talk about mascot matchups. Let's say the team doesn't play, the mascots match up, and they fight. A bulldog and a panther, let's say, they fight. Well, sorry, the bulldog's going to lose to a panther. Well, I don't know who's going to win this one. It's a bulldog and a bulldog. So I'm just going to go with the number 1 seed, the Genesee Bulldogs.
Okay, I like it.
Close game. How about overtime? I'll even go stick my neck out. OT.
Oh, in overtime. Okay, we had an overtime championship last year. So, right? Kendrick and Dietrich last year.
And then one more thing. I was going to do this. Is what you're all playing for, kids out there, if you're still on. That's a state championship from 94, my baseball title. Our baseball title, not mine. Those kids made me look good. So I keep saying Paul Kingsbury is going to show us a championship medal because he won basketball in New Plymouth in 93. He said he's going to dig it out and he's going to show it. So I'm still waiting for Paul to dig that puppy out.
Okay, well, Paul, let's bring him on real quick. Paul, where's your championship ring?
Kind of funny story. I just barely got it from the ex-wife's house. Actually, it's been there, so it's in a box somewhere.
Okay,
I'll bring it out
for the men's. When we do this for the men's, will you promise that you'll show that for me?
Thanks for bringing me on for that, Brandon. Stick that knife in there and twist it a little.
Hey, you're a state champion.
I will bring it out for boys. I promise.
There's a lot of worse problems to have than showing a state championship medal off.
Obviously, there is. Yes, there is.
We do. We have a lot of championship winners. All right, Paul, I'll leave you back to it. See you later. Bye. Yeah, Gary, state championship winning baseball coach at New Plymouth. Sean Kane, who's doing the 6A tournament with Paul. He has won 10 tennis championships in his career at Century High School.
Well, Scott Burton has like
20
debate and speech.
Yeah.
Hey, Jostens will give you, Burton spot. Jostens will make one for speech and debate. They'll make it for anything.
Yeah, he's going to have like 20. He's going to need like fingers and toes. Yeah, that's going to be a lot for Scott, but yes.
And he's an administrator, so he can afford it.
That's true.
He's a sugar daddy.
Okay. On that note, Gary, we are going to conclude our tournament preview show there. Gary, looking forward to you and Jesse on the call for the 1A state tournament this weekend. As always, Gary, thanks for helping us break down the 1A brackets.
Nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Big thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight. One last plea before we go. If you're watching still, if you could hit the like button on Facebook, the subscribe button on YouTube, share this when it's all said and done. So everybody that wasn't here live tonight can tune in Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday as they're driving over to Boise for the state tournament. And big thanks.
Go Dodgers.
Okay. Yes. All right. For Gary Jones and the rest of our IdahoSports.com broadcasting crew, my name is Brandon Baney. Thanks for tuning in. Travel safe to state, everybody, and we'll see you down there this weekend for the Real Dairy Shootout Girls Edition on IdahoSports.com.